back to the Bears Baseball Network. We have a very exciting show. We're going to break down all of the youth record breakers from this season. We also have broke a couple of high school records already, but we're going to save those for the end of the season. But we are going to go into all today the youth records that have been broken. If you want to hear us talk about 14U Floyd and 11U Floyd who won their tournaments this weekend, and if you want to hear us kind of give a season in review of the different age groups, go ahead and check out BBN After Dark. We did all of that on Tuesday, so definitely going to want to check this out. This show is all about record breakers, and who better to start off a record-breaking show than Harrison Blabaum. 10 records broken for Harrison Blabaum this season. He broke our hits record for 11-12U, the youth ages, and also the Bears hits record, 135 hits. This is going to be a tough one to ever knock down. Bernie, before we get into Harrison's other records, tell me about the hits record and the level that Harrison was able to play at all season long.
Yeah, obviously it's an insane level he's able to play at. He was up there every at bat wanting to hit, right? I told my team a stat a while back that Harrison has one of the least amount of walks on the team because he's up there, he's being aggressive, he's swinging hard every single at bat, right? He's up there to hit. He's not looking to walk in the at bats.
Yeah, and to go right along with that, not only is he getting a lot of hits, but he also broke the youth 11-12U and Bears doubles record. 50 doubles. We had never had a Bear player hit over 40 doubles before. Harrison knocks out 50 of them. And KJ, a 50 double season, absolutely unheard of. Give me your thoughts on this Harrison Blabaum doubles record.
Yeah, he's a guy who's, in a ton of programs. He's always working. And, if you've seen this kid's work ethic and how much he's here and how much he's doing stuff, you wouldn't be surprised at how good this kid is. And, he's on another level, man. He stands out when he's on that field with the 12U guys, and so I don't think this will be the last record Harrison breaks.
Yeah, 100%. So those are records that we call counting stats, obviously that are stats that accumulate. The other type of record is a rate stat, so a stat that is based on how often you do something. Harrison Blabaum broke the 11-12U youth and Bears batting average record at a 711 number. We had never had a Bears player hit over 700 for a full season with a minimum of 150 at bats before. Harrison Blabaum takes down that record. And then the OPS record for 11-12U he also took down as well in 1844. Bernie, it's one thing to accumulate a lot of counting stats, but it's another thing to be so consistent that your average and OPS are so high. Give me your thoughts on Harrison Blabaum's rate stats.
Yeah, like I said, this guy just does it every single at bat. He's the amount of focus every at bat. But people were saying at the start of the year that Harris was having a bad fall, and he was still batting like 670, 680 at the start of the fall. And the 711 number shows, he's been great all year, right? There's been no downswing to Harrison all year.
Yeah, the floor for him is so high, and then OPS kind of tells you where the ceiling is. 11-12U, one of our youngest ages in 1844 OPS to break that record. Very, very impressive. So that's a total of 10 records for Harrison Blabaum. He is now second all-time in the record books in terms of a player breaking records, only behind Brennan Nickerson, who spoiler alert for a couple shows from now, Brennan added a couple records to his resume as well. But KJ, I want to go ahead and throw this one to you. Of these records, of these numbers, so basically he broke 4 different stats and then across 10 different categories between 135 hits, 50 doubles, a 711 batting average, and an 1844 OPS. Which of those records do you think is going to be the toughest for somebody to break?
Yeah, I don't see anyone getting 135 hits. That's more than 2 hits a game for him. So I think out of all of them, I think the 50 doubles is going to be nearly impossible too. But 135 hits in around 60-ish, a little over 60 games is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both those numbers are going to be really tough to beat, as well as that 711 batting average. Again, we had never had a player get over a 700 average in a full season of 150 at-bats, so very, very impressive. And then as far as the other records go, we had never had a player get over 120 hits, and we had never had a player over 40 doubles. I think, for me, it's probably the doubles record I think is going to be tough to break. A 30 double season I think has only happened 4 times. So he had 50, which is absolutely insane. Fantastic season for Harrison Blabaum. A couple other records from 11-12U. Owen Lewis broke a couple of pitching records, 4 in total. He broke our 11-12U and also youth innings pitched record. He ended with 85 innings pitched. And then he had our 11-12U and youth strikeouts record. And Bernie, I want to start with innings pitched. this is something we were actually talking about the other day, and somebody said, is innings pitched really that important of a stat? And I think at the youth level, it is so important, because if you don't get a lot of innings from your big pitchers, it puts you in a real tough spot the rest of the weekend. So Bernie, tell me about in your opinion, the focus on innings pitched in a youth record.
Yeah, it was massive for the squad this year. Owen, he's going to go out there, he's going to give you at least, at bare minimum, 4 innings a weekend. He's going to do it in 65, 70 pitches, right? He usually gives you 5 innings, about 80 pitches. That's what he did for us most weekends. And it was massive, man. Because if Owen goes out there and only gives us 2 or 3 innings, our pitching staff is looking a little rough the rest of the weekend. So he ate up a whole game basically by himself. He allowed us to use guys in different spots.
Yeah, massive. And the strikeouts record, we had never had a youth player get over 100 strikeouts. He ended with 101 Ks. KJ, some people like to say that strikeouts are overrated, but when you're a pitcher, especially, you don't have a major league defense necessarily behind you. How important are getting those strikeouts as long as they don't go, turn into walks?
Especially at that age, they're not playing, necessarily Gold Glove defense. So, sometimes the strikeout is very valuable, and Owen Lewis is a guy who doesn't necessarily overpower a ton of guys, but he just pumps strikes. He pumps the zone, and at that age, man, that's really all you got to do to be a really effective guy is pump the zone, and Owen does a great job of that.
Yeah, and something that continues to be a theme on the show, he does it with multiple pitches, and I think that is the big key, that if you just pump the zone with a fastball, you're probably not going to get a lot of Ks, but we can do it with both pitches. That is absolutely huge. Moving right along to our 12-13U batting average record was broken this season. One of our oldest standing records as well, and it was broken by Diego Buccio, a 541 batting average. We had never had a player at that age hit over 500. Diego Buccio does that, a 541 average. KJ, it's interesting because we mentioned he's been so great in the fall, but for his full season average to be this high just shows you how good he was all season long. Give me your thoughts on Diego Buccio breaking our batting average record for 12-13U.
Yeah, Diego's the epitome of how important hitting the ball hard is and how important exit velocity is. This guy hits the ball so hard. No one wants to get in front of it. Everything he hits is so hard it can't stay in the infield. It has to get through. So, he's the epitome of the Bears' approach and the free swing approach. And, I don't see it stopping anytime soon for him.
Yeah, very, very impressive stuff from Diego Buccio. A record-breaking season for Diego. Moving into our 13-14U records, we had 3 of them broken by Lucas Wilburn. Lucas Wilburn broke our 13-14U hits record, our 13-14U doubles record, and our 13-14U innings pitched record. And Bernie, I'm going to let you start here with the offensive records. Hits and doubles again. Just like with Harrison Blaibon, it's one thing to be a guy who accumulates a lot of hits, but it just shows you that Lucas isn't just hitting singles. He's accumulating those doubles as well, those extra base hits that we always talk about. Bernie, for you, this season from Lucas Wilburn, I knew he was going to be good. I don't know if I expected a record-breaking type season. Give me your thoughts on Lucas Wilburn's offensive record-breaking season.
Yeah, before the year, I said this before on many shows that, Wilburn was not, you would not predict that he'd be the best hitter on his team. This is a guy who got sent down to Bell, in 2022 spring. Had to come back and work his way back up. His work ethic was unmatched last offseason. So I think, if you looked at his work ethic, we should have all seen the season coming from him.
Yeah, I think, a monster year for Lucas. No doubt the best hitter on that team, and arguably the best hitter in the youth as well. And then when you come to the pitching side, Lucas Wilburn broke the innings pitched record. Bernie already kind of covered the importance of innings pitched, being able to get deep into games. And, when you're at a youth team, your pitching staff starts to dip down once you get to 5-6 guys in the rotation. So if your best pitchers can get 5-6 innings a weekend, that is just huge. KJ, I feel like I kind of credit you for discovering Lucas Wilburn as that ace pitcher in BWL. You obviously coached him last fall. KJ, with what you saw in BWL, did you see an innings pitched record-breaking season from Lucas Wilburn this year?
Yeah, I think Lucas is really good in BWL, but I think he just got better as the season on. I think, when Lucas wasn't good in the BWL, it wasn't because he was getting hit hard, but it's because he couldn't find the zone consistently, and I think now that's been his biggest thing. He's finding the zone consistently. He wants to pitch the big game, So at that age, that's really important to get guys who pump the zone and can go deeper into games.
Yeah, and Bernie, I'm going to go ahead and ask you this one. Between Lucas Wilburn's records, 120 hits, 31 doubles, and 73 innings pitched, when you take into account the 13-14U age, which of those 3 do you think is going to be the most difficult to break?
Yeah, the most difficult to break, I'll say the hits. because I think the doubles record is doable. I think innings pitched at 14. I think that's also a doable one. But the hits record from Wilburn, is insane to me. 120. Harrison Blaybaum did 135 at 11-12U. Lucas Wilburn did 120 at 14U. That's just as impressive.
Yeah, and a key thing to note, if Harrison Blaybaum didn't exist, Lucas Wilburn would have broken the Bears hit record this year. The previous record was 118. So Lucas Wilburn would have had the record if it weren't for Harrison Blaybaum. So another interesting thing to note there, Bernie. I 100% agree with you. I think that hits total, you can't slump to break that hits record. You can hit doubles in bunches, but to break 120 hits, you can't have a bad weekend. So very, very impressive. The other two records were on the pitching side, starting with Lucas Velchek, the strikeouts record for 13-14U, 94 Ks, and I think if we don't get rained out in August, he smashes the youth record as well, but ends up with 94 on the season. KJ, you called this one from the get-go. I know you've talked about Lucas Velchek a lot, but to see this season-ending number 94, is this kind of what you expected, or what did you think of Lucas Velchek's K season?
Yeah, I think his K rate was even higher in the BWL. I mean, when this guy throws strikes, he's virtually unhittable. And if a lot of people haven't got a chance to face this kid, and you're lucky. He's intimidating on the mound. He doesn't make the hitters comfortable at all. He's big, long, lanky, gets those big strides, and he throws smoke. So, I think we all knew after seeing BWL how much he dominated that he was going to have no problem dominating in the season.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And this next record is another one that is very, very impressive. The 13-14U ERA record is now set by Quinn Steinbeck. And I'll tell you what, the interesting thing about the ERA record, kind of like we're talking about with hits, is because in the big leagues, guys are throwing 200 innings, right? But at youth, you only throw Lucas Wilburn just had 73 innings, and that was the record. So one bad outing can kill your ERA. And I'll say, for example, Lucas Velchek. He had basically 2 bad outings in April, and if you take those outings out, he would have been the ERA champion. So for Quinn to keep a 2.71 ERA for the record for the entire season, you just can't really have a bad outing. Bernie, what do you think of Quinn Steinbeck's ERA record-breaking season?
Yeah, it's impressive because he does it in the opposite way Velchek does it, right? Quinn's he's not going to throw smoke. He's really a precision pitching product to where, he got there with Robbie and learned a lot of good off-speed pitches, right? His curveball moves a lot, you put it wherever he wants. Changeup, same thing, moves a lot, put it wherever he wants. He uses all 3 pitches, he can command the whole zone. Not going to walk any batters, right? Can keep guys off balance and still get strikeouts.
Yeah, very, very impressive stuff from Quinn Steinbeck. So that is the 20 youth records we broke this season. And I will say, a little spoiler, we've already broken 14 high school records already. And with 2 weeks left, there's probably 8, 9, 10 more that I think could fall as well. Last year, we broke 31 records in total. Again, we've already broken 34 this year. And I believe of our 31 records we broke last year, 20 of them are still standing from 2022. KJ, we've already broke 34 records. I think there's about 8 or 9 records I think we'll break. What do you think that final number will end up being for the 2023 season?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think this is, we have some players, man, that are standing out right now. Harrison Blaybaum stands out at that age. Obviously, Diego Buccio has been standing out. Lucas Wilburn's been standing out. So I think, this is the most superstar heavy the Bears have been in a long time. The teams are still deep, but every team has that one guy who just is a superstar. So, I don't really know a number, but I can tell you, a lot of records are going to get broken every single year with how hard these guys work in the offseason.
Yeah, and I think that's a great call. Bernie, between the likes of Brennan, Teagan, Mack, and obviously the 15U guys like Landon Nickerson, in your mind, there's already been 14 high school records. How many more do you think we could accumulate over the last 2 weeks?
So I've been 14. I think you said there's 8 or 9 more that are most likely to happen, but I think we have a couple guys riding some hot streaks. I'll say 25. We'll get 8 or 9 that I should be getting. We'll get a couple more, that we'll ride some hot streaks.
Yeah, and that would bring us to a total of 45, Bernie, which would be an insane season for the Bears. I did want to go ahead and say the final total now. So we have 2 records from 2016 still standing so far, and neither of them are high school records, so they will stay standing. 8 from 2017. Our final 2018 record fell. We have no more records from the 2018 season, completely washed away. 2 from 2019, 10 from 2020, 15 from 2021, 20 currently for 2022, but several of those records could fall in the next 2 weeks, and then 34 so far in 2023. So very, very impressive stuff. That's going to do it for this episode of the Bears Baseball Network. Very excited for 2 final weeks of the season for our high school guys to really chase down these final records and boost up their regular season numbers. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Bears Baseball Network. We'll talk to y'all next week.